Hello and welcome to MC Continental Prime, reaching you from Lagos, Nigeria. My name is Felicity Ezewike. We begin the news in East Africa, where heavy rains in Sudan have killed over 80 people and damaged tens of thousands of homes, according to the National Council for Civil Defense. Spokesperson for the agency, Abdul Jalil Abdurrahim, says 67 people were also injured across 11 states in the northeast African country. Abdurrahim says the deaths were due to drowning, electrocution, and house collapses. The United Nations estimates that heavy rains and floods have affected about 102,000 people since July. Still in the region, the Tanzanian police have arrested a Tanzanian national in connection with trafficking 16 illegal Ethiopian migrants. Ulrich Matai, the UBYA regional police commander, identified the suspect as 30-year-old Yohana Adam, a resident of Kamsumulu in the country's southern highland district of Kila in UBYA region. Matthias says the suspect was arrested on Sunday evening as he was ferrying the illegal migrants to South Africa via neighboring Malawi. He says the Ethiopians were being ferried in a vehicle driven by the suspect, adding that most of the Ethiopians are young men aged between 11 and 18 years old. We now move to North Africa, where Morocco's Foreign Minister Nassir Bourita says the solution to the crisis in Libya is dependent on the December elections scheduled to hold in the North African nation. The foreign minister noted that Morocco was working to open a space for dialogue between the Libyan parties. He added that a crisis in Libya is related to legitimacy and that a solution can only be achieved through respect for Libyan institutions and the Electoral Commission. On his part, UN envoy Coup stressed the need to hold the elections on the scheduled date of December 24th. Staying in the region, Tunisian President Kais Saied has removed the Minister of Youth, Sports and Professional Integration, Sahim Ayadi. On July 25, Saied announced that he had removed Hichem Mechichi from the post of Prime Minister and suspended all activities of the parliament. Since then, the president has removed other ministers, including the Minister of Defense, Minister of the Head of the Government in charge of the Civil Service, Acting Minister of Justice, Minister of Economy, Finance and Investment Support, as well as the Minister of Communication Technology. In West Africa, Guinea's military junta is set to start talks later in what it's described as an effort to build a consensus on the future of the country. Following the military takeover a week ago, ECOWAS and the African Union have suspended the country. With the threat of economic sanctions looming, Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya and the other coup leaders are under increasing diplomatic pressure. The coup leaders say they will be holding meetings with people from all walks of life over the next 4 days. There will be religious and political leaders, and then diplomats and civil society groups. Also, the military junta is also trying to decide what to do with the ousted president, Alpha Conde. Still in the region, Ugandan authorities have dropped money laundering charges against Nicholas Opiyo, the East African country's most prominent human rights lawyer. This ends a saga that triggered a global outcry even as concern grows over Kampala's crackdown on civil society. The arrest last December of Opiyo, an outspoken government critic, was widely seen as a politically motivated move and sparked global condemnation. United States and EU diplomats attended Opiyo's court hearings. Police had originally charged him with money laundering in connection with a donation of $340,000 from a U.S. charity to Chapter 4, a prominent legal organization headed by Opiyo. But Uganda's top prosecutor says she has decided to discontinue proceedings against Opiyo, prompting principal magistrate to order an end to the trial. Meanwhile, a Rwandan businessman has been shot dead in Matola municipality, few kilometers outside the Mozambican capital, Maputo. Levakat Karemagingo was fatally shot about 50 meters from his residence. The crime was allegedly committed by gunmen in 3 vehicles who intercepted his car before they fired a hail of bullets at him. The killers are so far not known, much less the reasons for the crime. The Rwandan community is calling on the Mozambican government to provide more protection for its citizens. The UN Human Rights Chief, Michelle Bachelet, says gross violations continue to be perpetrated by all sides in Ethiopia's Tigray conflict and has warned that the country risks being divided. Bachelet noted that civilian suffering was widespread. She accused the Ethiopian government forces and their allies of mass detentions, killings, sexual violence, systematic looting, forced displacement and detention of civilians. She also highlighted allegations that Tigrayan forces were recruiting child soldiers, attacking civilians in neighboring regions and causing mass displacement, among others.
From my last update to the Council to date, allegations of human rights violations have continued to implicate government forces and its allies. We have received disturbing reports that local fishermen found dozens of bodies floating along the river crossing between Western Tigray and Sudan in July. There are continued reports of large-scale arbitrary detentions of ethnic Tigrayan civilians in unofficial sites in Western Tigray. Reports also suggest that people of Tigrayan ethnicity have been profiled and detained by law enforcement officials on ethnic grounds, with hundreds having reportedly been arrested in recent security sweeps, mostly in Addis Ababa.
From East Africa, let's go to the West, where 110 inmates who escaped from a prison in Nigeria's southwestern state of Kogi on Monday have been recaptured. Chief Press Secretary to the state governor, Anogu Mohammed, said the governor has charged security agencies in the state to carry out a massive manhunt to apprehend the remaining inmates. He further appealed to security agents and residents of neighboring states to be alert and report all suspicious persons to the police. Still on security in Nigeria, the disbanded Civilian Joint Task Force is making a return to the northwestern state of ZAMFARA as part of efforts to support security forces in the state. Chairman of the Committee on Security and Prosecution of Armed Bandits, Dr. Abdullahi Shinkafi, disclosed this, saying the CJTF will be supported by a volunteer security group known as Yansakai. Shinkafi says the decision to reinstate CJTF and set up Yansakai was taken to sustain the gains being recorded in the ongoing offensive against banditry and kidnapping in the state. In neighboring Kaduna State, 12 people were killed and 2 others injured in an attack in ZANGON, KATAF local government area of the state. Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruwan, says the incident was reported to the state government by security agencies who said the attack was carried out in Penjim village near Kibori in Atiap chieftain of Zangon, KATAF. Aruwan's statement says 2 injured residents are receiving treatment. He adds that security agencies are poised to sustain patrol in the area as investigation into the incident progresses. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC) says a cholera outbreak has so far killed 46 people across the country in the past week. In an update on the outbreak released on Tuesday morning, the NCDC says 8 states accounted for the new fatalities. The Public Health Agency says a total of 2,323 people have died so far, while almost 70,000 suspected cases have been recorded as of September 5. It notes that the latest situation report on cholera was published based on data sent in by the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory for the respective reporting week.
This is Business on NC Continental Prime. I'm Tolulokwe Adileru Balogun. The quest for a green energy solution in South Africa has been hindered by legacy debt. The reality of substantially reducing ESKOM'S 402 billion rand, about $28 billion debt, will help the company realize its vision of transforming the coal-addicted firm into a leading green energy producer. It's also expected that this will create as many as 300,000 jobs in the process. Currently, ESKOM supplies more than 90% of South Africa's electricity from coal and emits more than 2/5 of the nation's greenhouse gases. Andre de Ruyter, its CEO, wants to tap concessional loans from development finance institutions to finance renewable plants in exchange for accelerating the closure of some of the old polluting power stations. South Africa's sovereign debt can be scrapped in exchange for recapitalizing ESKOM and ensuring that it reduces its emissions. ESKOM is considering investing 106 billion rand in renewable energy projects within the next decade and is analyzing various financing options. And moving on from there, the International Monetary Fund has approved a $567.25 million loan for Tanzania. The funds are meant to help finance the country's urgent balance of payments needs arising from the global COVID-19 pandemic. The financing package is made up of $189.08 million under the Rapid Credit Facility and a purchase equivalent of $378.17 million under the Rapid Financing Instrument. According to the IMF, Tanzania is in urgent need of a balance of payment supports that is equivalent to about 1.5% of the GDP. The disbursement under the facility and purchase under the instrument will help finance the interventions needed to mitigate the severe socioeconomic impacts of the pandemic. Last year, the country's economy reportedly decelerated to 4.8% growth, mainly due to the collapse in tourism activities in the wake of travel restrictions. And Africa's dream of free trade has moved forward yet another step. Tanzania has ratified the agreement establishing the African Continental Free Trade Area, joining the pact connecting countries with a total gross domestic product of $3.4 billion. AfCFTA was first opened for signing in April 2018, but came into application in 2019 after the requisite minimum of 21 of 55 member states ratified it. Tanzania had not formally joined, although former President John Magufuli signed on the agreement in 2019. After signing, parliamentary approval is required for ratification of the agreement. In East Africa, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and Burundi have already ratified the agreement. The deal, signed by 54 of the African Union's 55 member states, commits countries to 90% tariff cuts within a 5-year period. Eritrea is the only country yet to join the agreement. And staying in that part of the continent, Rwanda's national carrier is expanding its footprint in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Rwanda Air has announced plans to launch new routes along the Kigali-Lubumbashi and Kigali-Goma route, adding to the Kigali-Kinshasa one. Now, the Kigali-Lubumbashi route will be launched on September 29th, followed by the Kigali-Goma flight. The airline currently operates 4 weekly flights to Kinshasa. As part of its recovery, that is, the airline will also resume flights to Uganda on September 17th and to Mumbai on September 20th. This comes 2 years after back-to-back suspension of flights. The airline recently resumed its London, Johannesburg, Lusaka, Harare, and Cape Town flights. And we wrap things up on the western part of the continent, where Nigeria's aviation airspace regulator, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, has directed foreign airlines to board passengers traveling to Nigeria who are unable to show evidence of payment for a repeat COVID-19 test. Musa Nuhu, the Director General of the authority, in a letter to all airlines operating international flights, said that the decision is because of the challenges facing some travelers to Nigeria. According to the aviation chief, travelers are now finding it difficult to fill their health and travel history on Nigeria's international travel portal. A part of COVID-19 rules, passengers pay for a PCR test, which they are expected to do after 7 days of quarantine. And that's the business we have for you right here on NC Continental Prime. There's more coming your way. I'm Tolulokwe Adileru Balogun.
In the world of sport, the South African Football Association is confident that the country can sufficiently suppress its number of COVID-19 infections in the time to host the FIFA Club World Cup later this year. South Africa has expressed a keen interest in staging the club tournament after Japan withdrew as host last week citing concerns of coronavirus. The Club World Cup features 6 Continental Club Championship and the host nation's league champion. On Wednesday, SAFA President Danny Jordan is to meet FIFA President Gianni Infantino to discuss the possibility of South Africa hosting the December event. Jordan is traveling to Nigeria, where he will meet not only Infantino and FIFA Secretary Fatmas Mora, but also his compatriot Patrice Motsepe, the president of the Confederation of African Football, CAF. Still moving on, former Chelsea, Newcastle and West Ham striker Demba Ba has retired from playing at age 36. The former Senegal international won the Europa League with Chelsea in 2013 and twice won the Turkish title, first with Besiktas in 2016 and 2017, and then Istanbul in 2019-2020. He was without a club after working out in Swiss side Lugano in August. Ba first moved to English game in January 2011 with West Ham from Oakham. Having scored 40 goals in 103 appearances for the German club, he scored 7 goals in 13 appearances for the Hammers before moving to Newcastle 6 months later. And now the Ghana Football Association, GFA, is set to announce a new head coach for the Black Stars by the close of this week, according to reports. Following defeat to South Africa in the qualifiers for the 2022 FIFA World Cup, the Ghana FA confirmed the sacking of Black Stars head coach CK Akpona. In addition, all his 2 assistants have also had their contracts terminated with immediate effect. Ghana is set to resume the qualifiers for the 2022 FIFA World Cup in October, and the GFA has tasked a new formed committee to settle a new Black Stars head coach in the next 72 hours. And now from the fallout of the Tokyo 2020 Games, Algeria's Fatih Norin and his coach Ahmad Beniklek have been suspended for 10 years by the International Judo Federation, the IJF, after withdrawing from the Tokyo Olympics to avoid facing an Israeli opponent. Norin, who was the men's 73 kg class, said at the time that his political support for the Palestinian cause made it impossible to compete. The IJF said the pair was malicious enough, used the Games as a platform for protests and promotion of political and religious propaganda. The governing body disciplinary commission said was a clear and a serious breach of its statutes, code of ethics and the Olympic Charter. The ban covers all IJF events and activities through the 23rd of July 2031, though they can appeal against the ruling to the Courts of Arbitration of Sport. The finals for the CAF Volleyball Championship has now been set, as Morocco and Tunisia will play the finals of the African Volleyball Championship on Tuesday at the Kigali Arena. Cameroon were the first team to secure their slot in the 2021 final on Monday after defeating Morocco 3-2 in the sets for the semi-final. In the game, Morocco started by winning the first set 25-15, but Cameroon grabbed the second set 25-22, pulling Morocco level at 1-1. The Moroccans won the third set with 25-21, but Cameroon took the fourth set by 25-17, and the last set was 15-13. In the other semi-final game, defending champions Tunisia defeated Egypt 3-1, 25-19, 16-25, 25-14, and 25-21 to reach the finals. Meanwhile, Rwanda beat Nigeria in 3 sets games in the men's playoff game that is aimed at the ranking for the teams. Now Rwanda will take on Uganda in the 5th playoff of the game. And there you have it, sports stories at this time. I am Onyechi Obaru.
Thank you very much. We start in West Africa, of course, where Nigeria's starboy Wizkid has been shutting down events and venues all across America. Now, this is, of course, part of his Made in Lagos tour lineup. Now, since Friday the 10th, he has thrilled audiences at Boston, New York, and just yesterday, in fact, Silver Springs, Maryland. Now, Wizkid has 14 more venues across 10 states in the U.S. between now and October. In fact, he will start off 2022 with concerts in Canada. Now, that's not all. In less than 48 hours, the 40th MTV Video Music Awards held in New York City, and Wizkid was a winner for his contribution to Beyoncé's Brown Skin Girl. Now, the globally accepted track off Beyoncé's The Lion King, The Gift album, won in the Best Cinematography category. Now, Nigeria's Wizkid and Ghana's Shatta Wale were the only African-based acts who were nominated this year. Shatta Wale was nominated for Beyoncé's Already music video in the Best Art Direction category. Now, although they lost, a grateful Shatta Wale, whilst the show was going on, tweeted, God bless at Beyonce and Jay-Z. More for me. Wow, what an opportunity. If I don't even win, I'm forever grateful to at least see my name in an award show in America many have been craving to be on. Well, here are some highlights from Wizkid's tour. A big congratulations to Wizkid, of course. Now, still in West Africa, we hear that Spotify's latest, most streamed African artist, TEMS, has finally dropped the track list of her upcoming body of work, If Orange Was a Place. Now, set to be released tomorrow, 15th of September, the EP would boast just 5 tracks, all written by Temilade Okpeni, TEMS herself. Now, produced by Guilty Beats and Jonah Christian, mastered by Spax, the EP would just have only one feature, with Brent Fayaz on the track Found. Congratulations to 26-year-old TEMS there. Now let's go to, of course, still in West Africa, Ghana, where Afrobeat pop star KIDI has debuted at number 20 on Billboard's World Digital Sales Songs chart with his hit song Touch It. Now, Touch It, off the 28-year-old most recent album, Golden Boy, made the entrance this past week alongside Wizkid's Made in Lagos songs, Steady and Anoti. Now, the Ghanaian song is expected to climb to a higher spot on the charts in the coming week. Although this is great for KIDI, it doesn't come as a surprise to many because Touch It has already been competing for the top spot in several countries like United Arab Emirates, Panama, Netherlands, and New Zealand. Apart from KIDI's Golden Boy album topping charts in 9 countries, the Touch It song has sparked a global trend on TikTok. And that's as much we can take on entertainment. Of course, back to Felicity with the rest of the news.
And that's all at this hour. Do follow us on our social media platforms. We are at News Central TV. You can download our mobile app on the App Store and Play Store. You can also watch News Central live on Star Times, channel 274, Apple TV, channel 23, Vision 247, Free TV, and on YouTube. As always, many thanks for watching.